In today's video, we're going to go over 5 things the New York Football Giants need to do once the 2023 NFL season is over. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and let's just be honest. This season has been disappointing for the Giants for a multitude of reasons. And I'm kind of over this season, and I already have my sights set on the offseason, the draft, free agency, and this team getting back to being a good winning franchise. And I'm going to tell you what the Giants have to do, all 5 things if they want to do that. But first, I need your help. We're trying to get this video to be seen by as many people on Twitter as possible. So I would appreciate it if you would share this video. Click the share button right here underneath the video, select the Twitter icon, then click post to Twitter, and if you tag me at @MarshallGreen_, I'm going to retweet you, and I'm going to give you a follow back and a shout out on the next video. So help me get this video out to as many Giants fans as possible. Number 1, first and foremost, the Giants need to fire their offensive line coach, Bobby Johnson, when the season is over. I don't like celebrating someone losing their job. I don't really enjoy talking about people being fired. But the facts are the facts. The Giants' offensive line for the second year in a row is one of the worst units in the National Football League. Pro Football Focus ranked the Giants' offensive line 30th in the 2022 season. Now they're up to 27th, which is crazy because they've given up more than 20 sacks than they did last year. The Giants gave up 49 sacks last year, number 5 in the National Football League. In 2023, they gave up 69 sacks, by a wide margin, the first team. But it's not just because the offensive line is playing poorly. The Giants have invested in their offensive line. They spent a top 10 pick on one. They spent a top 70 pick on another. They spent a top 60 pick on another. They drafted one in the 5th round, and they paid Mark Lewinsky $6.1 million. You invested in Evan Neal. You invested in Joshua Ezeudu. You invested in Marcus McKethan. And you've invested in John Michael Schmitz. Let's focus on these top 3 guys. All players that by this point should at least be contributing to the team in some way or fashion. You can't have your offensive line regress while also not developing any of the guys that you drafted that I just showed. Evan Neal looks worse in his sophomore season than year 1. He's also missing games. We'll talk about Evan Neal in a second. But Marcus McKethan doesn't look like he's going to be a pro starter anytime in his career. Joshua Ezeudu, a top 70 pick, doesn't look like he's going to be a long-term player for this team. I think Bobby Johnson's a good dude. At the end of the day, I think he's a decent coach, but it has not worked out with the Giants. He hasn't made this offensive line any better, and there's been some resources pumped into it. I just think the Giants need to invest in a proven offensive line coach. There's no salary cap when it comes to your coaching staff. Go pay someone a lot of money, maybe a couple of the veterans that I know a lot of you guys want to go get. Go hire a top-flight offensive line coach and see if they can fix Evan Neal. Number 2. And I know some people are going to be upset at me for saying this. Franchise tag Saquon Barkley. Look, Giants cannot afford to let Saquon Barkley walk in free agency. This team has a lack of offensive playmakers. And the best one they have is Saquon Barkley. But I cannot give him a multi-year deal. As much as I love Saquon, I bought his jersey a week after he was drafted by the Giants. The Giants are not in a spot where they can give Saquon Barkley a multi-year deal. And one of the main reasons for that, and honestly, the only reason, is his inability to stay healthy. Only one time in the last 4 years has he played all the games in a season. It was 2022. He didn't play in Week 17. Giants rested their starters there. But once again, missed time this year. Missed time in 2021. Missed pretty much the entire season in 2020. Look, Saquon Barkley is absolutely great. He's a generational football player. But the Giants are not in a spot in this retooling and rebuilding of the franchise where they can give a 27-year-old injury-prone running back a multi-year guaranteed contract. I love Barkley. I value what he brings to the team from the on-field performance to as well as a locker room presence and being a leader. I think he's a great face to have for your franchise. But at the end of the day, I can't give a player that is 27, will be 27 in the offseason, getting closer and closer to that age mark of 30 where running backs die, a long-term guaranteed deal when he's proven that he is, at this point, an injury-prone player. So I'll ask you, I think they should franchise tag him. It's a non-long-term agreement. You get him for 1 year and honestly pays him a good chunk of change. And then once again, franchise tag him next year. But what would you do? Would you re-sign him? Would you franchise tag him or trade him? I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. The third thing the Giants need to do this offseason is invest in a right tackle. There is no way you can enter the 2024 season if you are the New York Giants and your only investment at right tackle be Evan Neal. You did that this year, and that's a large reason why this team has struggled. Because one, Evan Neal's not all that good, but you had nobody that was even giving him any sort of competition. And I understand top 7 pick, he's probably gift wrapped the job in year 2. But going into year 3, in my opinion, Evan Neal needs to win this job. And I think Joe Schoen agrees. I mean, he said it last week in the press conference. Evan needs to play better. He knows that. Look, the 7th overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft has not lived up to the hype. He is on his way to being a bust. And more importantly, he's missed 9 games due to injury. He missed 4 last year, and he's only played in a handful of games this year. Sometimes the best ability is availability. And Evan Neal hasn't been that so far through his Giants tenure. And also, he's regressing. PFF ranked Evan Neal as the 57th, offensive tackle in the NFL last year. He's down to 62 this year. You must draft or sign a right tackle in free agency. I'm not saying a guy that needs to start over Evan Neal, but one that could push him and one that can make him have to earn that job. And if an injury happens, you can have a veteran or a young player step up and maybe be the guy that's going to be there for the foreseeable future at that right tackle position. I'm hoping it's Evan Neal. You spent a top 10 pick on him. You need him to be that guy. But he can't be the only guy that you invest in this offseason at that position. I've got 2 more things that the Giants must absolutely do this offseason. But first, I got to tell you guys about our proud sponsor, Factor. Go to factormeals.com/GiantsChat50 and use the promo code GiantsChat50 to get 50% off. This holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals that are delivered straight to your door. I came home from work on Tuesday of this week. I had my big Factor box on the doorstep, and I felt like a kid on Christmas Day. I live a busy lifestyle. I don't always have time to chef up my meals and go to the grocery store, and I don't ever really want to do the dishes. And because of that, I'm getting started with Factor, and you should do the same. Factormeals.com/GiantsChat50, promo code GiantsChat50, get 50% off, save some money, eat right, and just be a little bit more prepared for your busy lifestyle. Number 4, make a plan at quarterback. The Giants have to do something this offseason at the quarterback position for a lot of reasons, right? Daniel Jones is coming off an ACL injury. Who knows if he's going to be ready to go early in the season? But even furthermore, I can't rely on Daniel Jones at this point. He's missed more than 8 games in the last 3 years with a neck injury. I'm drafting a quarterback in the first round. I'm going out and getting a guy like Jane Daniels or Michael Penix. And my eyes don't lie. I've seen enough with Daniel Jones. He's not a bus driver. He's just a guy. He's just a dude. And that's okay. There's a spot for guys like that in the NFL, but not the spot of the franchise quarterback for the New York Football Giants. He's not anyone that just changes the dynamic of a team. He's not someone that elevates talent. And I just don't think that he's someone that can win a Super Bowl if you're the New York Giants. He's a guy that has to have everything perfect around him. And that's nearly impossible to do. Some top college football quarterbacks I would like for the Giants to at least look into in the draft process. You're probably not going to get Caleb Williams and Drake May with the wins that you've stacked over the last 2 weeks. What about a guy like Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels is my guy. That's my guy right there. Give Brian Daboll the uber-talented quarterback that he could hopefully get the most potential out of. I also like Michael Penix. Not the biggest fan of Bo Nix, but I understand why some people are. You also got guys like J.J. McCarthy and potentially Quinn Ewers. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, the Giants need to go and address the quarterback position this offseason. And the way I would do that is by drafting a quarterback in the first round. And then I'm cutting Daniel Jones following the 2024 season. And I'm going to save myself a whole lot of money while carrying a dead cap hit of $22 million. Who do you want to be the Giants quarterback next season? Is it Daniel Jones? Is it Tyrod Taylor? Is it Tommy DeVito? Is it a rookie? Is it a veteran? Give me a name down in the comment section. We'll call it the last thing. There's a lot of things the Giants have to do. But this one is just as important as all of these. Find a way to add more offensive playmakers. I just want everyone to focus on some of the top teams in the NFL. Philadelphia Eagles, they've got a whole bunch of playmakers. The San Francisco 49ers, they have a whole bunch of playmakers. Even inside your division, the Dallas Cowboys, they've got CeeDee Lamb, they've got Brandon Cooks, they've got Michael Gallup, they have 2 running backs, they have a whole lot of playmakers. You need playmakers in this league, and the Giants just do not have enough on the offensive side of the ball. Me, I'm the GM, I'm going out and I'm getting T. Higgins. He's going to be a free agent. I don't think that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have enough money to re-sign him, and I think he's going to be the number 1 free agent wide receiver. I'm going to go give him a bag, and I'm going to have him pair with my young quarterback and Jaden Daniels that I'm drafting this offseason, and that's going to be my dynamic duo going forward. If no Higgins, if you don't want to sign him, draft a wide receiver at bare minimum in round 2, and then pair him with your young quarterback. If you're going to draft a quarterback, you need to invest in your investment. And the way you do that is you franchise tag Saquon Barkley so he's here next year. You improve at that right tackle position. You go out and sign a veteran. And then you draft a playmaker early in the draft. Remember, the Giants will have 2 second-round picks. And with the Seattle Seahawks losing games as of late, you might just have 3 top 50 picks in the 2024 NFL draft. Another thing the Giants must do is they got to get more talent on the defensive end, specifically at that edge rusher position. I love Kayvon Thibodeau. I love Dexter Lawrence. They can't do it themselves. Get somebody else on the outside that you could put on the other side of Kayvon Thibodeau, and you have 2 great pass rushers for the foreseeable future. Fire offensive line coach Bobby Johnson. Franchise tag Saquon Barkley. Invest in a right tackle. Make a plan at QB. I'd draft a quarterback, and then add more offensive playmakers. For me, I'm also bringing back Mike Kafka and Wink Martindale. I know that might not make me a favorite amongst people, but I believe in the process and the coach and the talent of Mike Kafka, and I know that Wink Martindale is a damn good defensive coordinator. That is my plan for the Giants and what they must do once this season is over. Once again, if you could share this video on Twitter, I would greatly appreciate it. We want to get the word out about what I think the Giants need to do, and we need your help. Share the video. Tag me in the tweet. I'll retweet it, follow you back, and I'll give you a shout out on the next video here on Giants Now by Chat Sports.